Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and it's mailbag time. Friendly reminder that today's mailbag was filmed on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and if you're like, wait a minute, I missed the live show. Yeah, you did. We go live every single Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. So if you're a diehard fan, you bleed silver and black, subscribe, turn on those notifications, sub for a week. If you don't like it, move on. But I have a feeling you're going to like hanging out with Raider Nation. Also, there is a really cool function that you can do with mailbags. It's called Super Thanks. It's like giving a super chat, which for people who can't always join our live shows, if you super thanks, we'll give you a shout out here on the show. Let's go to the first one. Yo, Raider, what up, man? No Lamar, draft Richardson, save the picks and the money. I mean, here's the thing, though. I don't think you're going to save the picks. I can make the argument that trading up for Richardson might cost just as much as making a deal for Lamar Jackson. Obviously, it's going to be a lot less money, but I am curious to see, because there's been some reports out there that Lamar Jackson's deal might actually be less than Deshaun Watson. It might be less than Russell Wilson. Obviously, you're still going to end up paying him probably over $45 million, but the more and more draft content, the more draft reports that come out, I really think that Richardson, Stroud, Bryce Young, they're all going to be gone in the top 5, which means the Raiders are going to have to trade up, and they are going to have to give up some of that extra draft capital. Let's go to the next one. Rolling in here, it's from Patrick B. I would rather take a defensive tackle at 7 or even a linebacker over a quarterback that has so many questions. A number 7 pick cannot be a reach. I don't think a linebacker goes at 7. I mean, I love Drew Sanders. I think the kid from Iowa is really good as well, though I look at linebacker very similar to the way that I look at running backs. I'm not going to take one in round 1 unless the linebacker can get after the quarterback, which then you would consider yourself an edge because your draft stock would go up. The only defensive tackle that's worth taking in the top 10 is Jalen Carter. He's got a lot of question marks around him. The reason why quarterback's always going to be brought up, especially when you're in this AFC West, like, sometimes you got to hit the home run, man. Like, Derek Carr was never going to be able to compete with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert on a consistent basis going forward. So when you think about it, I don't blame the Raiders for wanting to try to go out and get a quarterback that can compete with those two guys. All right, next one rolling in from Anita. If the Chargers release Khalil Mack, should the Raiders get him? I do think that Khalil Mack does actually end up getting released by Los Angeles. I love Mack, and I would love to see Khalil Mack and Max Crosby together. Hell, I tweeted it out probably a week ago, and yeah, I would celebrate the hell out of Mack being a Raider. It just comes down to how much money, because to me, edge is always a need for any team, right? Getting after the quarterback is always a need, but I think deep down as Raider fans, we know defensive tackle, another cornerback, you need linebackers. There's a lot other needs besides edge. If anything, I would say edge is probably where the Raiders are at their strongest right now. So if Khalil Mack would be willing to take a cheaper deal, sure, we can have the conversation. I just don't think that that's ultimately going to happen. But what do y'all think? Should the Raiders bring back Khalil Mack? Give me a Y for yes, or type your N for no. And if you're going to type Y for yes, how about this? Go above and beyond and give me your contract idea. How much would you offer Khalil Mack per year? Because I don't think it's anything less than $10 million per year. Let's go with James Lillard. Mitch, I know and feel your disconnect with McDaniels. What would it take to get you past that? We got to win. Winning solves everything. Like, to me, you can't do – McDaniels and Ziegler have done a lot of talking, right? And McDaniels has done a lot of pointing the finger at other people. I don't like when my leaders do that. I don't like when head coaches do that. But if McDaniels can win some games, I'm on board. I just don't think that he's going to. And I hope I'm wrong in saying that. I hope I take an L by saying that McDaniels isn't a good head coach. I hope I am wrong in that. But so far, I would say that I have been pretty right in my take of McDaniels is not the right man for the job. I hope I'm wrong in saying that. I really, really do. Let's go to Dixo Solid Dixon. Hooker in the second round. I mean, would you say, all right, so Hooker beat Bryce Young and Bama. You're right, he did. The Tennessee Volunteers, they had a hell of a season. I remember watching that game. I think the big difference is, though, you got Hendon Hooker, who's 25, going to be 26 years old, ACL injury, which I will admit, Hendon Hooker at 38, to me, actually might be a better value than Anthony Richardson at pick number 7 when you really think about how these two quarterbacks are going to impact the NFL. But also, you're taking Hooker. I don't think he plays this year. So if you're going to take a quarterback that you know he's not going to play at age 26, I'm more just on the realm of I'd rather just take a guy in next year's draft then. Let's go to Arturo. Draft a QB. Don't believe in Lamar or Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how you can't believe in both of those guys. Like, I do think that Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers give you a better chance to win right now. Like, I don't really think that that's that debatable. Where the debate comes is, all right, how good is this quarterback? And if you draft a QB that's successful, then now you got a really good QB for 4 or 5 years on a cheaper type of deal. Because I do think the more and more contracts we see, like for Derek Carr, a very mediocre quarterback to get $37.5 million, crazy. Daniel Jones, a very mediocre quarterback to get $40 million. If I'm an NFL team, I mean, there's a part of me where I'm like, why would I give a quarterback like Daniel Jones or Derek Carr $37.5 million or up when I can just take a rookie QB? Because I'm sorry, you're not going to win a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones. You're not going to win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr. And if you know you're not going to win a Super Bowl, I'm not going to offer that much money to those type of guys. I'd rather just roll the dice with a young rookie quarterback. Now, if you don't want to roll the dice, but you are feeling lucky, hey, hopefully you party it up on St. Patrick's Day. And I'm always the type of person where I never know what the hell to wear on St. Patty's Day. I end up going to like Target or Walmart last minute looking for a green shirt. Well, how about this? You don't have to do it. You can rep the Raiders on St. Patty's Day by going to chatsports.com/RaidersGreen. We got that t-shirt and we have these Raiders socks available. That link's going to be available for you guys in the comments and in the description of today's show. I will admit, though, the socks will go quickly. So if you want them, you better act now because I think the last time I checked, we only had a few left. Let's go to Vincenzo Peoples. Should the Raiders sign Isaac Seumalo? He's got some versatility to play right guard as well. I mean, this is my number one offensive guard in free agency, and I would love for the Raiders to be able to bring him in. I think it would probably cost you somewhere around $11 million, and you're right. He can play both guard spots, in my personal opinion. So, essentially, if the Raiders were to make a move like that, I think that they bring back Jermaine Illuminor. You're going to have Dylan Parham at center. Then you're going to have Colt Miller at left tackle. You can put Seumalo wherever, left guard, right guard, depending on where you think he's the best fit. And then either you find another cheap option at guard, potentially you look at the draft. There's a lot of different areas to go. But then my next question to you would be this. Are you going to spend $11 million on an offensive guard, or would you rather invest that $11 million in a defensive tackle, a cornerback, a linebacker, where I think that might be, a little bit of the bigger need. Let's go to Raider LT. If we get Lamar, can we afford defensive players? Yes. I mean, you have to get creative with the Lamar Jackson contract because depending on what you give him, there's going to be a lot of cash involved. He's going to want a lot of guarantees. But at the end of the day, though, you can still make it work. I mean, NFL teams prove that the salary cap is kind of a joke. I mean, the Saints have done that almost every single year. They were minus $76 million in cap hell 2 years ago, and were totally fine. They even made moves to be able to make it happen. NFL teams can make it happen. You just have to move money around, and you just have to have the right people that know how to do that. Let's go to Ty Davis, yesterday's MVP. What up, Ty? Just got here, been working all day and playing catch-up. I say get a decent veteran quarterback that won't break the bank. Draft a rookie quarterback, not Richardson, to sit behind and learn. Fix the O-line and the D from the, what does that say? From the line out. Okay. I would say that you're not going to break the bank. If I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, I look at the two deals that Daniel Jones and Derek Carr got, and I'm not taking anything less than $20, $25 million per year, which for me, no shot in hell I'm giving Jimmy Garoppolo that type of money. Which then I would say the next quarterback most likely that the Raiders would take that's not Garoppolo is Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett, you're probably going to pay $8, $10 million for a year. Is that a guy you want? Or do you just roll with Jarrett Stidham where he's going to make less than $2 million in my book? I wouldn't offer him much more than that. And if you don't want to roll with Richardson in year one, I don't blame you whatsoever. But the more and more, if they're out on Rodgers, if you're out on Lamar, if you're out on all these other quarterbacks, I think that the Raiders are really going to play whoever they take at number 7 or above. They're going to play him right away. It's going to be interesting, no doubt. Let's go to Suicide Guns. No matter who we get as quarterback, we still have McDummy as a coach. We lose. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope you're wrong, but I don't really disagree with you. I don't like McDaniels. I'm never I don't know if I'm ever going to like him. I don't think that the Raiders are going to win because of him. I think that they're going to win because they have a lot of talent on the team, especially on the offensive side of the football. But we gotta wait and see. I hope the Raiders win, obviously, though. Let's go to Samuel Bids. Since you think Andre James is getting cut, oh man, could Las Vegas sign Rodney Hudson? Shit, we got a Khalil Mack and a Rodney Hudson question on the same show. What year is it right now? No, you're not going to bring back Rodney Hudson. Which now I see Jeremy just put this question up, so that's on me. Should the Raiders bring back Rodney Hudson? Type S for sign or P for pass. To be honest, I think Hudson ends up retiring. He has been on a steady decline ever since his final year with the Raiders, which then he went over to Arizona. He's always been a pretty good pass blocker, but his run blocking has been, arguably, he might be the worst run blocking center in the NFL right now. He's had a legendary career. I hope that he ends up signing a one-year contract with the Raiders and then he retires with this organization because that would make me a lot of happy. But in terms of Rodney Hudson at center, no, they have Dylan Parham, and that's the guy that they're going to roll with this season. Let's go to win for Day. Trade for Love and fix the O-line and draft Webb next year. Draft Webb. I mean, the only quarterback that I would want in next year's draft, Caleb Williams or Drake May. So those would be the two guys I'd go after. I do think trading for Jordan Love is an interesting idea. He is only 26 years old. And the only way you're going to trade for Jordan Love is if Aaron Rodgers goes back to the Green Bay Packers, because then Love is going to demand a trade. And Love was actually a quarterback that I liked quite a bit when he first came out of Utah State. High upside type of player. He is going to be 26 years old. He's got good arm. He's got some athletic ability. It could be an option, though, for the Raiders. If, let's say, hypothetically, they're like, we don't like any of the quarterbacks, or no, we got to trade up all these picks to get a guy, you might just be able to get Jordan Love for a fifth-round pick and roll with him. Let's go to Rodney. With the Saints defense, now with the best quarterback in their division deciding to go all in this year, using 2 late first-round picks to get the best running back, I hope not. All right, so with the Saints defense, now with the best QB in their division deciding to go all in this year, using 2 late-round first picks to get the best running back, I hope not. I'm going to be honest, I don't really get this one. I read it 2 or 3 times. Rodney, I appreciate the question, but I've read it twice, and I'm not connecting the dots on it. Let's go to Raiders. Oh, Jim, should the Raiders trade for Allen Robinson? I know you liked him a lot. I did like Allen Robinson a lot, and actually, I saw Next Gen. They put out a pretty interesting stat that Allen Robinson was actually the best receiver from a separation standpoint last season on Los Angeles. He just didn't have a lot of opportunities. I do think he's a good blocker. I've loved him since he's come out of Penn State. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to trade for him because then you got to take on that contract. And the Raiders just have way too many other needs to just say, yeah, we're going to find another guy who might be, the second, third, you can even make the fourth, fifth option in that offense. If I'm going to spend that type of money, again, I'm going on the defensive side of the football. Let's go with Drew. Thoughts on Trey Palmer now after he was the fastest wide receiver at the Combine? We still need speed. What's funny is if you're over on locals, Drew, Husker Raider, he always, every single mock draft we do, he's always like, Trey Palmer, let's take him. You're right. A lot of speed. The Raiders do need to add a little bit of vertical speed, and if he's there a little bit later in the draft, great. To me, though, Palmer doesn't have a lot of the other, he's not a good route runner. I don't think he has very good hands. He's just fast, which it does have value, but it depends who the quarterback is. You need to have the right guy. If Garoppolo's under center, no. If Richardson's got that big arm, then sure, I'll look into it. Let's go to Doug. Dream scenario of DeJuan Jones at pick number 38. He's probably one of the most intriguing prospects in this year's draft for me because of, one, the length. For that wingspan of 7'5", it's the largest wingspan in NFL Combine history. He is a phenomenal right tackle. I think because he did so well at the Combine and because he has just continued to show that, I talked to one guy who I really trust and said he's the best offensive lineman in this year's class. And this is a guy that I really respect and that I trust. So if he's saying stuff like that, there's parts where I think Jones could actually go in the first round. And if he does, then yeah, Raiders, they don't got a shot at him. Let's go to Dom. Mitch, it baffles me that most Raider fans don't want Lamar Jackson. Cap going up, don't matter what you pay. it always matters what you pay. Right? So let's get that one pretty straight. And I think Raider fans, it's not that they don't want Lamar Jackson. It's they don't want to have a team where all the money is invested into one player, and then you have a bad defense. You have a below average team is how I'll put it, especially when it sounds like Lamar wants $250 million guaranteed. He wants to be the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, and he's had a lot of injuries. I mean, he's had a lot of injuries the last 2 seasons. And then the last thing I'll go with is, with the more and more you look at some of these teams offering all this money to one position, the Green Bay Packers this past season, Aaron Rodgers, highest paid quarterback in the NFL, they didn't make the playoffs. Broncos, Russell Wilson, didn't make the playoffs. Browns, Deshaun Watson, didn't make the playoffs. Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray, didn't make the playoffs. So the 4 teams that paid quarterbacks more money than any other teams did this past season didn't make the playoffs. Like, the NFL is a team sport. I get how great Lamar is, and I was at one point saying, hey, I'd hand him a blank check. If you're the Raiders and you're confident that you can get your guy in the draft, whether that be a Richardson, a Stroud, whoever it may be, then you got to stick to your guns, and you got to go. And you got to go try to get that QB. If you're like, shit, I don't know if we can get him, then yeah, I'm open to getting Lamar Jackson. I would love to have Lamar Jackson on this team. All I want is a good quarterback. That's what I want, man. If you want to be able to ask me more questions, I'm on Instagram at MitchellRents365. I'm going to do 2 live shows this week as well over on Locals, and to stay up to date with all the crazy shit that happens around NFL free agency and the draft, hit me up on Twitter, y'all. You guys know where to find me.